I often get asked, what is one thing that I could do that would draw children into a closer relationship with Jesus? That's something we're going to explore today on this edition of KIDStory Quick Tips. So what is that one thing? What's the bottom line that we could look at? If I could just do this thing, it would help immensely in drawing kids to Christ. Well, a survey was done a number of years ago that asked that very question of people in general. And when they got thousands of responses, they were able to bring it down into these 4 different categories. One was spiritual disciplines, reading your Bible, spending quiet time with the Lord, journaling, going to church, worship, your spiritual disciplines. One was just personal ministry, just being involved in ministry, allowing the Lord to use you, drew them into a closer relationship with Jesus. Significant relationships. There was somebody that drew them and helped nurture them and disciple them into a relationship with Jesus. And the last one was pivotal circumstances. Those things that were just really dramatic in somebody's life. Could be a death in the family, an accident, an illness, something of that nature, a circumstance. And in that circumstance, it drew them into a relationship with Jesus. Well, as I've done this study and used this study in my workshops, the interesting thing is when I ask the adults and the leaders, okay, what draws you into a relationship with Jesus? People would scatter throughout the room because I would have these signs posted throughout the room of those 4 different categories. And people would go to the various places and we would kind of look at that a little bit. And then I tell them, okay, what's your number 2? That was your number 1. What is your number 2? And as we looked at that, then they would go to all these different places. And people, again, were kind of scattered, usually all about, no matter where I go and do this across the globe. But then I would ask this very critical question. If you are now 8 years old, pretend that you're 8. What is going to draw you into a closer relationship with Jesus? 99.9% of the time, everybody flocks to significant relationships. It is so critical to have a relationship with that child to help draw them into a closer relationship with Jesus. We could be a great teacher. We could have all these great crafts and all these different things. But unless we're creating this environment, an actual relational discipleship environment where kids are being drawn into that relationship with Jesus, it's going to happen through us as leaders, as grandparents, as parents, as just those that are involved with children on a regular basis. It's that relationship that's going to first draw them to Jesus. It's kind of like when Jesus welcomed the children, when he blessed them. He created that kind of environment where he was building on a relationship. He welcomed them, he touched them, and he blessed them. It's a relational environment that he created. So as we look at the bottom line, as we look at what is going to draw children into this relationship with Jesus, the first thing we need to look at is, what am I doing to build that relationship with them? It could be as simple as a high five or a smile when the kids first come into your class or into your club. It could be something as simple as writing a note, sending a text, giving a phone call throughout the week to show them that you really care, that they belong to that group and to that ministry that you are ministering in. Let me share this story with you. There was a young boy, I'll call him Zach. When he was 5 years old, I was talking to his mom. Even his mom at 5 years old was afraid to discipline him. She was afraid that he would turn on her. Well, by the time he got to be 10 years old, he was just causing all kinds of havoc in the classroom. The leaders of this class came up to me and said, "We can't teach anymore. We're done. We can't have Zach in our class if you expect us to teach." And so I said to them, okay, let's try this. For 6 weeks, I want you to write a note or call Zach each week, and let's see what difference that makes. After 6 weeks, the leaders came up to me and they said, "You would not believe the change that has happened in Zach. He's coming to class. He even brings his Bible. He's starting to memorize verses. He's starting to interact with the kids in healthy ways. He's actually participating and feeling like he belongs." A simple note for 6 weeks changed this young boy's life. And why is that? He started realizing that these leaders cared about him, not just to teach their class and to do a great job of being a teacher, but they cared about him. He felt welcomed and loved. He felt like he was in the presence of Jesus. And that's what we're trying to do in these relational environments where we're discipling these kids into that relationship with Jesus. Let me close this session with this verse from 1 Thessalonians 2:8. It says this, "We loved you so much that we shared with you not only God's good news, but our own lives as well." What does God want you to do this week to create this relational discipleship environment that through you, God is going to build that relationship with himself? Have a great week. God bless you.